Hey everyone! Guess what you're watching right now?
A bad video!
Yeah. I think most of us funnel into similar camps when it comes to our opinions on media. We probably like a lot of things that are typically adored and dislike a lot of things that are normally despised. This is pretty cool as it automatically gives a lot of us something in common when we first meet each other. But if you ask me, the most interesting kind of opinions are the wild cards. Everybody has these favorite picks that don't sit anywhere near universal acclaim or disdain. Interests that surprise even the person who has them. When it comes to anime, I don't think any of my favorites are too out there, and that just won't do. I need to find my own special hill to die on, a show that when questioned about, I can proudly respond with 6 words I've been waiting to say my entire life.
Hey man, I gotta say, I really didn't like that show you recommended to me. You think you can explain what you like so much about it so I can see where you're coming from?
Yeah, you just don't get it, dumbass. While looking for this elusive piece of media, I found myself yet again inside the loving embrace of Kyoto Animation, because one of their shows is so strangely appealing to me that I now feel a burning need to share it with the world. I love Lucky Star, and I'm gonna try my hardest to explain why. The show follows 4 friends as they go to school and hang out with each other. There isn't a plot, there are no goals. It's just a bunch of characters talking to each other about random things for 24 episodes. You're probably scratching your head right now wondering what the appeal is if you're new to this show, and I don't blame you. To quench your curiosity, I'll offer a few common answers. First and foremost, this show is a comedy, so a sizable chunk of people enjoy it for the humor. I am not one of them. If I had to slap a number on it, I'd say only 20% of the jokes were funny to me. There are a lot of jokes where somebody does something weird or dumb, and another character just points out that what they are doing is weird or dumb. This is an extremely common routine in Japan known as manzai, where the funny man, known as the bokeh, does something stupid and gets called out by the straight man, known as the tsukomi. I think that this routine can be funny when handled properly, but most of the time it's just, look at how weird this person is being, and I can't say I care for that style of comedy. However, there are several jokes here that have good build-up or subvert your expectations in just the right way. I did laugh a few times while watching, thanks to scenes like Konata walking out of the physical exam room and saying I'm still short. The scenes with these wonderfully exaggerated characters who try to get Konata to buy something from their store like their lives depend on it. And my personal favorite, when Yui, who is a police officer, floors it to try to get in front of a yellow car who passed her. The part that gets me is the fact that this normal-ass car starts speeding up and drifting on turns with no provocation. But if you're looking for a consistent stream of good comedy, look no further than Lucky Channel. This is a show within the show that plays at the end of each episode, and it's fantastic. It stars the mean-spirited Akira Kogami and the meek Minoru Shiraishi and focuses on their abusive working relationship that only grows more hostile with every episode. Sign me up.
Akira Kogami, ladies and gentlemen!
Shut your hole! You called us a concert!
We're over budget as it is!
This is like freaking Cowboy
We're starting!
I'm a professional, you
So while I think there are a few good bits in this show, they're few and far between. Your mileage may vary, but I wouldn't have a high opinion of Lucky Star if I was going to it exclusively for the comedy. To me, the good jokes are just a nice cherry on top of everything else the show offers. Another reason why people like this show is because of all the references. This show is so entrenched in the anime landscape of 2007 that many look at it as a time capsule that flawlessly appealed to the fans of the era. Some even say that the show is only good if you watched it when it came out. It's a product of its time that alienates modern viewers who don't understand the culture from 14 years ago. So now's as good a time as any to say that I started watching anime just over 1 year ago. I will admit that some of the references got to me. I loved it when I saw the store owner use a gyos. I appreciated all the jokes that were pointed towards the voice actor of a certain character, and I'm glad that this show shares the same embarrassing embarrassing feelings I have for Haruhi. 90% of the time though, I didn't have a clue about what these people were talking about. So once again, I have to strike something from the list of potential reasons why I like this show. It's safe to say that my affection for Lucky Star is unorthodox. So in order to get to the bottom of what makes this show enjoyable for me, let's dive into everything it gets right. The visuals are admittedly not much to look at, but their distinct chibi art style fits the laid-back nature of the show perfectly. I've always had a soft spot for media that settles on a visual style and runs with it, because while they may not look technically impressive, even for the time, they never age a day. You could go back to Lucky Star 10 years after watching it for the first time, and it will still look exactly like you remember it. Now try busting out that N64 you had as a kid and let me know if any of those games look the same to you as they did when you were 5. I didn't think so. The art direction of Lucky Star is appealing, timeless, and the best fit for the relaxing atmosphere the show provides. Sound-wise, I was surprised by just how good of a job was done here. Never in my life have I heard somebody praise the soundtrack of this show, and that's worth filing a class action lawsuit against the entire planet. There are so many hidden gems in here, songs that made me pause the show so I could mentally process just how much I enjoyed them. Needless to say, it was unexpected. For the longest time, I thought Lucky Star was just dated references the show, but with tracks like these, I couldn't have been more wrong. Also, this is one of those shows that I enjoyed much more dubbed than subbed because the cast absolutely killed it. Tsukasa sounds as clumsy and meek as she is, Kagami is more strict and hot-headed, Miyuki's actress nails the role of the perfect girl, and Konata is the same aloof prankster we all know. The only character with subpar delivery is Patricia Martin, but her voice is so out there that I think they did it on purpose.
Are you heading off to work right now?
You know it! I signed on for way too many shifts this week.
They kept as many of the voice actor jokes as possible, like getting Haruhi's English voice actress Wendy Lee to play Konata, getting Johnny Yongbosch to play Daisuke Ono's self-insert, and getting Crispin Freeman to play this store clerk who offers a kid a KyoAni card. As someone who's a big fan of the English dub for Haruhi, this was great to see. Obviously, they couldn't get everything spot on, so if you're super into the references, you might want to just stick to the sub. But personally, this is my preferred way of watching. I'm glad that I like the dub as much as I do, because reading text at the bottom of the screen would only hinder the state of bliss I enter when I watch this show. I don't think I've made it a secret that I enjoy slice of life shows. I always go into them reluctantly, thinking I'm going to be bored out of my mind, but 9 times out of 10 I come out with a new favorite. Noticing this, I went into Lucky Star with the knowledge that it has less going on than every other show I've ever seen combined, fully expecting to enjoy myself, and I did. In fact, Lucky Star is one of, if not my favorite example of this kind of show, because it takes everything I enjoy about these laid-back slice of life shows and elevates them one step further. It's so pure in its depiction of an average daily school life. None of the characters have any special talents that alienate them from most of the audience. None of them ever relent from showering the viewer with nostalgic memories of days long past. They all vividly remind me of people I know and conversations I've had. It is a slice of life, full stop. No strings attached. I adore the way they go to school, drift through classes, and just shoot the shit with each other whenever possible. A multitude of frivolous conversations make up the bulk of Lucky Star, and the same can be said for anyone who's been through high school. The things they say are extremely relatable, whether they're complaining about a minor inconvenience or sharing a fun fact they learned that morning. I may be alone on this, but watching Lucky Star was the first time I ever felt like I was having a genuine conversation with a piece of media, and as someone who clearly enjoys talking, that's pretty special. So the other day I was microwaving some food and a thought came to my mind. You know when you're trying to microwave multiple things at once but some of them come out cold while others are piping hot? Then you have to take out the hot stuff while leaving the cold ones in. But while the cold ones are heating up, your hot ones might become lukewarm. Some microwaves are more powerful than others, meaning what you do with one microwave might not work for another. I've used microwaves before that take 3 times longer to heat something up than the one I'm using now. Of course, there are peripherals that trap heat, and those help. But if you're heating up different kinds of food, nothing will save you. Furthermore, the dictionary defines microwave as
Lucky Star.
ideally, I like to enjoy this show while button mashing my way through an easy video game. It's not because I'd be bored otherwise, it's just another way for me to relax and get further immersed in the experience. It's my happy show, and not just because of how it portrays life. Being relatable is only half the battle. You need to have an excessive amount of charisma if you want to keep my attention, and once again, Lucky Star delivers. There are so many little quirks about this show that give it its own unique and memorable character. They blur license plates and censor a lot of copyrighted names like Pokemon or Super Mario Brothers or shit. In like half of the episodes, there's a character who mentions that something is stinky with little to no context.
Really stinky.
There just aren't words to describe that horrid stench.
I know, it stinks so bad. Yeah. So it stinks after all. It hasn't been that stinky in a while.
During the next time segments, characters will just talk about random things. Konata will tell you about the infinite lives exploit in 3-1 of Mario 1, or the time she screwed up a quest in Monster Hunter. Tsukasa will share an experience that she had recently. Kagami will complain about a minor inconvenience, and Miyuki will teach you the origin of the term Super D class. For those curious, the D stands for the HMS Dreadnought, a battleship for the English Navy that was activated into service in 1906. The first half of this show's EDs are karaoke songs sung by the main cast, and the endings from the second half feature Minoru Shiraishi, not to be confused with his self-insert in Lucky Channel, who is also portrayed as an actor in the actual show. He just takes a camera crew with him to some random location and sings a song without any music behind it. Sometimes they mix it up by having him switch between different songs when a whistle blows, or by adding Street Fighter health bars to the video. It's just so wacky and strangely intimate. Like everything from this show is being taken straight from one guy's brain and then delivered unfiltered to the audience. Sometimes it's hard to tell if Lucky Star even has a script. I'd hate to shatter any worlds here, but it does. And within those pages lie lines to be recorded for Lucky Star's incredible characters. This segue kinda sucks, but I'm keeping it anyways. I adore the characters in this show. You've got Miyuki teaching me things that I'll have forgotten about before the episode is over. You've got the Hiragi sisters doing a great portrayal of the purple-haired twins trend that was going around at the time. Most of the side characters are tropes for the sake of parody, but I don't need deep characters in my sit back and relax show. The cast starts out with just the main 4, but gradually it builds into a massive family of lovable goofballs, meaning the show only gets more fun to watch the more you watch it. Honestly, I would have been fine with a full show just following these 4 characters, because I don't think I could ever get tired of watching them. But on the other hand, Lucky Star just wouldn't be the same without Yui Ne-san or Miss Kuroi. I would say it's less about their individual strengths as characters and more so about the quality of their interactions with others. Like I said, this is my slice of life happy show. I want to see these characters get along and hang out with each other. Seeing that Konata plays an MMO with her homeroom teacher regularly just warms my heart. And speaking of Konata, she's an anomaly to me, because to me she is one of the only examples of a character who's way too into games and anime done right. If there's one thing I hate more than anything in the world of storytelling, it's a character who is made to pander to my hobbies. Basically what I'm saying is, if your story has a character who does things like scream level up after accomplishing a task, I hate you. And yet, all of these irrational feelings subside whenever I see Konata do something similar. I think the reason is very simple. Like I said, the characters in Lucky Star are like real people to me. Despite Konata's lack of tact with her interests, to me she seems like a person I would have known in high school. Whenever she drops a reference to a show or game, I never think this is just a cheap way of getting me to like the show. I think this dork is just trying to share the things she likes with her friends in a roundabout way, and who am I kidding, I do this all the time.
What do you think about this one?
It's definitely interesting. I think it would be fun to try out, but you know, those engravings give you no tactical advantage whatsoever.
What did you just say?
Oh, well, you see,
What the f did you just say?
Look, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. The characters are a huge part of what makes Lucky Star for me. They're diverse, they're likable, and some of them are contenders for my all-time favorites list, with only a little bit of personal bias factored in. Something that should say a lot about my disgusting levels of affection for this show. Despite the fact that I knew I would enjoy it, it's kind of unbelievable just how much I ended up caring for Lucky Star. And since I'm a big proponent of the idea that this show is intimately tied to reality, it only makes sense that the ending fits into this belief. I drifted through the entire show without a care in the world, and once the ending came along, it was hard to believe it was really over. I was in that weird state where I felt like I had been watching the show my entire life, but I also felt like I never started at all. The characters talked about how strange it was that they'd be graduating soon and thus finishing off the show, but you never pay any mind to stuff like that in the moment. This was just what I did every night for about a week, so it never really registered to me that it was over until it was over. Kind of reminds me of how I finished high school. The show doesn't even show us the school festival performance the characters have been working so hard on. All we get is a rehearsal. The curtain rises and a flash of white engulfs the frame. No big finale, no fanfare. It just ends and it's time to move on. I had this little bittersweet moment where I moved my mouse to click on the next episode and was just like, oh. It was a little sad that I couldn't go back to the show for the first time and enjoy it in my own strange little way anymore. At least now the experience is archived here in a way, so people can stop by, say what the hell is wrong with this guy, and then go about their day. I may not have laughed nearly as many times as I was supposed to, and the number of references that flew over my head did have me feeling a little out of touch. But there isn't a way to argue against how I felt when I was out of time. Lucky Star rocks, and nothing will ever change that. Speaking of nothing, I've got to get back to watching some, and I don't expect you to understand. After all, you just don't get it, dumbass.
So, are you just gonna stand there, or are you gonna sing?
Hold on, you're the one who forced me up here. Why should I do anything?
Come on, man. It's what the people want.
Who asked for this? I will literally kill them.
At least chime in during the chorus.
Mote ike saigo ni wa ra chau no wa tashi no hazu. Sera fuku dakara desu katsura. Getsuyo obi na no niki gen wa ruri no to suruyo. Natsu fuku ga ii no desu kawaii.
Boo!
For fuck's sakes, man, you didn't even try.
I hate all of you and I want to go home.